In every ethical dilemma, we encounter questions that transcend the immediate situation, questions that delve into the very core of what it means to live a good, meaningful life. These are the big questions, the timeless, thought-provoking queries that shape our understanding of right and wrong. Let's explore these questions and reflect on their profound implications. Why do good people do bad things? This question challenges the assumption that morality is fixed and unchanging. Psychological studies like the famous Stanford Prison Experiment show how environmental pressures can influence behavior. For instance, a well-intentioned person might justify unethical actions under extreme stress or peer influence. Example, think of someone lying to protect a friend. Their intention may seem noble, but the act itself might be viewed as morally questionable. This question pushes us to consider the complexities of human motivation and the role of context in ethical decision-making. What is a good life? Philosophers like Aristotle argued that a good life is about eudaimonia, or human flourishing, achieved through virtue and balance. For some, a good life means personal happiness. For others, it's about service to others or leaving a legacy. Example: a teacher dedicating their life to educating underserved communities might define their good life differently from an artist whose focus is self-expression. This question invites us to reflect on our values and priorities. Do the ends justify the means? Always? This question has sparked countless debates, from utilitarian ethics to the most controversial decisions in history. Example: consider a company cutting corners to produce life-saving medication more quickly. While the goal is noble, the means, compromising safety protocols, might lead to unintended harm. Ethical reasoning requires us to weigh the outcomes against the actions taken to achieve them. Does motive matter? What if I do a good thing for a bad reason? Imagine someone donating to charity only for public recognition. The action benefits others, but the motive is self-serving. Should we celebrate the outcome or scrutinize the intention? This question reminds us that ethics is not just about what we do, but why we do it. What do we owe each other? This is the foundation of social contracts and moral obligations. Whether through empathy, fairness, or shared humanity, this question challenges us to consider our responsibilities to others. From holding a door open for a stranger to advocating for systemic change, our actions reflect our understanding of interconnectedness. Do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? This question underpins debates on utilitarian ethics, where the greatest good for the greatest number often takes precedence. Think of public health policies like mandatory vaccinations. Protecting the majority sometimes requires imposing restrictions on individual freedoms. But is this always justifiable? What about cases where the few bear significant harm for the benefit of many? This question invites us to grapple with balancing collective well-being against individual rights. Is what is wrong for you necessarily wrong for me? This question challenges moral relativism, the idea that ethics can vary between cultures, individuals, or contexts. Example: consider attitudes toward assisted dying. Some view it as a compassionate choice aligned with personal autonomy, while others see it as inherently unethical. This question forces us to consider whether moral standards are universal or if they depend on perspective, culture, or experience. Is whether an action is right or wrong dependent on the situation? Context matters deeply in ethics, and situational ethics asks us to consider whether actions that are typically wrong might be justified under specific circumstances. For example, lying is generally considered wrong, but what if you lie to save someone's life? Situational ethics emphasizes that moral absolutes may not always apply, and understanding context is key to ethical reasoning. Is it enough to follow the rules? Laws and rules are designed to guide behavior, but they don't always align with ethical principles. History is filled with examples of unjust laws, such as segregation laws, that were legal but deeply unethical. Imagine a whistleblower exposing corporate corruption. They may break company rules, but act in the public's ethical interest. This question reminds us to critically assess rules and recognize that doing what's legal isn't always the same as doing what's right. Who gets to decide? Authority, tradition, and consensus often play roles in determining what's ethical, but power dynamics can complicate this question. Think of ethical decisions in healthcare, such as who gets access to limited resources like organ transplants. Should it be doctors, policymakers, or the patients themselves? This question challenges us to consider whose perspectives hold weight and why, urging us to strive for fairness and inclusivity in decision-making. These questions are neither new nor easy to answer. They've been pondered by philosophers, leaders, and thinkers across cultures and centuries. Yet they are indispensable in understanding ethical reasoning. They push us to think beyond the immediate and ask what is right, what is fair, and ultimately what is good. By grappling with the big questions, we cultivate a broader perspective, one that empowers us to face ethical challenges with insight, integrity, and compassion. So what do you think? Which question resonates with you the most?